There it goes. Welcome back, everyone, to Sunday Night Teacher Talk. We are back home, but we are, I miss our wall. I miss our brick wall that we had back there.
Me too. I miss the plant, the whole setup.
Whole plant, yeah. But if you did not see the newest video, I would encourage you to go check that out. We are moving, which is why we are in this crazy, different setup.
Our whole house is crazy right now.
Whole house is crazy. There's storage totes and boxes and stuff. I've taken more trips to the thrift store than
and it still feels like we have so much stuff.
We do. So but we're moving. So that's all I'll say about that. There's a whole video I made about it and stuff. But look, gang, we are here on Labor Day week. If you're in the US, we're here on Labor Day weekend. And that means that for those of you, I think all schools still do this. You have off on Monday, so you only have a 4-day teaching week this week. So, but we want to show up and help you to get ready for Tuesday then. If you're not in the US, then we'll help you get ready for Monday. But all you have to do is drop a question in the chat. You can use the letter Q or the word question, and we'll jump right into it.
You ready?
I'm ready. Hit it.
All right. KP is up first asking, what do the last 10 minutes closing routine of your class look like?
So I'm a bell-to-bell person, KP. And so what that... You didn't do it.
No, I did. You didn't add the transfer.
Okay, just hit the head on the top. There it goes. Cool. I'm a bell-to-bell person because 2 minutes of unscheduled, undisciplined time leads to madness. And I don't want that. It makes me feel anxious and uneasy and all that stuff. Now, look, there are times of the year and there are certain classes that can handle that sort of unstructured time. So if I have 10 minutes left of class, let's say my lesson goes real short. So typically this is towards the end of the day where first period, it was all I could do to squish everything into the period. Some magic happens during the day where my lesson gets a little bit more dialed in. And then last class of the day and second to last class of the day, it can end up a little short sometimes, right? Despite my best efforts. And I'm not a person that I never give more work as a reward for getting done your work, right? So your reward for getting everything done, for working hard, for being diligent, for putting all your focus and effort on this is downtime, right? Not all classes can handle it. So if they can't handle it, I will have them read silently. They can start on homework if they have homework from my class or another class. But if they, that's all it is. So there's nothing else I have for a class. If there's individuals, I give them one-off little kind of fun assignments, but that's a different question. If a class can handle it, I give them the last 5 to 10 minutes of class to have a brain break. And I largely don't care what they're doing as long as your actual butt is in an actual seat. So you're not sitting on top of a desk, next to a desk, on the floor, on anywhere else. Your actual butt has to be in an actual seat. Then you're good. If you're talking about something and it's too loud, I just remind you, right? But if kids are watching a video, if they're on YouTube, if they are playing the game, if I don't really care what they're doing, so long as they're not playing I don't know, there's different phases, weird phases that the kids went through I've been a teacher, but like poker is one of those where kids are always playing poker and then they're secretly betting money. I don't allow that either. And I'm fine with that. But the bigger thing is here, KP, is that I am okay with someone coming into my room and seeing that this is what we're doing right now. I'm totally fine with that. And that has to be a place where you are in your school too, to give kids downtime when schools are so strict and so stringent about teaching bell to bell. You have to be ready to say, like, when they go, why are they just sitting here? And it's like, oh, actually, let me run it down for you. And I pitch it like it's a great thing. They did amazing today. They did so well today that we got through everything. And we had 5 to 10 minutes. And you know what? And I told them, we don't do this very often. I'm going to give you the last 10 minutes. Just have a brain break so you can get ready for your next class. And I'm ready for the repercussions of that as well. The other thing is, and I would tell this to all teachers, you can never, ever, right? And I'm not one to say like there's no silver bullets in education, right? There's no one way to eat a Reese's when it comes to education. I will though say that you can never let kids stand by the door. Standing up means standing closer to the door, which means getting up and getting closer and closer to the door. Now there's a mob at the door. Then the door somehow gets open, but I didn't do it, Mr. Rounds. I don't know who did it. But now we're standing in the hallway. Now we're leaving class early. It turns into a nightmare. By no means let children stand up before the end of class. And that's my advice on that one. I really need a haircut. Right. I can see it in this camera. It looks,
we all need some hair.
It looks bad. But you know, when your barber is on maternity leave, that's what happens. What happens to your cut? Go ahead.
All right, Chris Carson is up next. Asking, so this has been a rough week. Terry, my not so secret wife, fell down 3 stairs last Monday night and broke a bone in her hand and tore several places also on her hands. She can't push herself up to get up. Tuesday, I need to go back to school. I was out all last week, very conflicted. Any ideas?
Chris, I would say that, first of all, I'm really sorry that that's going on.
I have a suggestion.
Please.
I would look into your health insurance and see if there's some sort of qualification that you can get for a nurse aide to help at home while she is recovering and needs some further assistance since you have to go back to work. I wonder if I've heard a few things with talking to you about where she is. And so I just think I wonder if your health insurance would cover some sort of health aid to come in.
That's a really great.
I just know because that's what I did for a job, like home health care. Yeah. So I know people qualify through their health insurance for a few hours a day, right? Like the middle of the day. So she's not gone for she's not left alone for a very long period of time. So if that doesn't work, I would also suggest a friend, a family member, someone else that can come in just for significant, some little sections of time. So it's not a long 8 hours that she's left alone.
So no nonsense, Chris, along those lines, getting something like a Life Alert. I know this is a hilarious commercial that I remember from the 80s, the Fallen and I Can't Get Up. But when my grandmother fell several years ago, she was left in her apartment for 3 days. And I know that your wife isn't going to be Terry's not at home by herself for that long, but that was something we wish my grandmother had. The other thing is, and in talking about the at-home nurse or health aide, that just go to HR and ask them, right? Instead of because some schools, we had a pretty good insurance.
We had a representative
that was that. I thought they were pretty good, right?
Oh, they were great. They were fantastic.
So, but if you don't have that, or if you're going to sit on hold for half a day, just call HR. And I'd also ask HR. What I was going to say was, see about you staying home at length for a little bit. See what that's going to look like. So you're not just taking all your sick days, because this isn't a sick day, right? This is don't be conflicted, right? Unless it has to do with you actually making a living, because then that's gonna affect your home as well. But taking time off for family first, that's what we want our students to do, right? That's what we want our kids to do. Who cares what any adult in your building thinks? Who cares? But we want our kids to see that we take care of our family as first in all things, and you are being the living example of that. So like, please take care of your wife before everything else. So that's what
Absolutely.
I would do.
Okay, John Lopez is up next, asking if you could add or change statements in the Magic 8 Ball, what would you include?
Oh my gosh,
That's
John, I'll tell you what, you can do it. You can get custom made Magic 8 Balls, and don't think that I haven't thought about it before. You can also get custom made fortune cookies that, man, I wanted to mix them in at the Chinese food joint across the street and have some Reynolds sayings in there. I think it would be some of my like regulars. It would be like, there's a 99% chance you're awesome, right? Mine are a little bit too long, I guess. I need a larger 8 ball, like the one I have up here. Something like you belong everywhere. Something like, I think I would love to have, make it happen, Captain. Like, I don't like things that are like, that are affirmative, but like, if you ask the magic ball a question, like, what's like a boss answer? What's an answer that is like going to make you feel like, can I go to the bathroom? You shake the ball and it's like, make it happen, Captain. Like, go do it. Like, and so something like that. I'd have to think about some one-liners, but that is a great idea.
All right. Sprinkled the Magic is up next, asking,
Nice.
The life map is awesome. How do you handle triggering this project can be with some students? I noticed a lot of our kids had a lot of difficulty completing the project.
So here's the thing with all projects that require students to share a bit about who they are. Kids aren't always used to being vulnerable. If you didn't come from a house where being vulnerable was accepted, was allowed, was something that happened very often, what we want to do is remind kids that, one, the life map project or life odyssey doesn't have to be like all of your family's dirty laundry, right? Like, it doesn't have to be all of the things that are like the most horrible thing that ever happened in your life, right? So if you don't want to talk about your parents' divorce, if you don't want to talk about your grandfather dying, your brother going to jail, like your grandma getting sick, like, that's fine. But there are other key moments, right? So maybe we help kids, this is a really great way to look at some positive things in your life that you've overcome, that you've done, that you've learned, that have changed things. So if you really like to read, then like learning to read is a key moment in your life. For some kids, riding a bike opens up access to your whole world, right? Your whole neighborhood is now open. You can ride all over the city. You are making friends. You're able to go places and do things. Maybe it's, for me, like one of the things I could put is like being really involved in skateboard culture connected me with kids that I never would have connected with otherwise, that were into all kinds of other like really cool stuff. And it was one of my favorite friend groups I've ever had in my life. So it's looking at those sorts of things. Like maybe it's, and teachers roll their eyes at this, but a lot of kids talk about getting their first gaming system, right? And it's like, I can see the eye rolls happening at my school. But one of the things I think teachers don't really understand is that, especially for kids that don't easily make friends in school, online is where you make your friends. You have any number of kids in your classes that have friends that are from all over the country, all over the world, that they've never met face to face, but they would call them some of their best friends in the world. And I see it with my own kids. They have friends that they get down with all the time online, and so, but have never actually met in person. But I think that they will call them some of their best friends, and it's this new world. So it's helping kids look through that and not making kids like taking the edge off by saying, well, let's walk through some of these other things of like, what's a trip that like opened your eyes that the world was a bigger place? What is, who was a teacher you had? Who was a friend that you made? Did you ever get a pet? Did you have to learn responsibility through that? And so that made you a more responsible human being? Like, what are some of those things as well? Because it can be a thing that it brings up stuff for kids. And if those kids haven't processed that stuff, then it's going to make it can make it tricky. But I think that's how we take the edge off.
Great answer.
Thanks.
I'm so short. Look at the
I feel short today too.
You really made us short today. I really need like.
Well, I was trying to get the teacher talk sign in there, and that's always like, and I like to get the top of the board, but that didn't work either.
It feels so tiny. Okay. Despina is up next. I hope I said that right. I apologize if I didn't. How to deal with stress as a young teacher, especially trying to not be criticized by other teachers. This is my first year as a teacher.
So, gosh. All right. So first of all, congratulations on becoming a teacher. Your first year is like, I want you to think about this, Despina. Think about your first year of anything, your first year of college, right? It's when everyone's packing on weight and you're freaking out and you get worse grades than maybe you ever have in your life, or like it's difficult. Your first year being, if you're married, and if you're not married, like this will be difficult. First year of being a parent, first year of like having any job, right? So like when I first worked at Taco Bell as a 15-year-old, it was the worst job to this day, maybe digging holes, which is an actual job that I had. And I did not know Shia LaBeouf, but like I had to dig holes. It was horrifying. And it sucked, but I still think Taco Bell was worse. Like Taco Bell was the worst job I ever had. First time things are often, even thinking, let's go here. Let's make it a little bit weirder. The first kiss that you ever had, right? It's generally pretty awkward, right? Both parties are not super sure on what's happening during this time. The reason I'm bringing this up is because sometimes, or most of the time, the first time you do something is just difficult and you don't know what you don't know. Learning how to be an educator in college is like learning how to swim in a classroom. And then getting your own classroom and teaching is like someone just kicked you off the high dive. And now you're like trying to remember on your way down, like, oh, wait, kicking and moving my arms. And when do I breathe? It's okay. So I think some of the criticism comes from this ridiculous notion that teachers have for themselves and that others have for new teachers, that you're supposed to be great from the jump. It's like I cannot think of another job that anyone would look at you. You could go to the Culinary Institute of America, which is the most renowned culinary institute in America that I know of. And probably one in the world. And you get a job in a kitchen, you still are probably washing dishes. You're still just chopping the same vegetable 1,000 times a day, right? So but in teaching, other people have the audacity to look at you like you should just have your life together. Like, why aren't you even doing it? Why are your kids so loud? Why didn't you get through your lesson? Why are they like getting up out of their seats? And it's because you didn't do it before. So just to hell with them. And honestly, like, to hell with them. And you need to take a step back and know that you're learning, right? That we're not taking losses the first year. We're taking lessons. We're learning the lessons as we move through the year, and we're going to get better and better and better. And then here's what you're going to do. You are going to remember this version of you and how you feel right now and what's going on in your classroom. And next year, even though you only have 1 year ahead of someone else, that is going to feel like, a year's worth of stuff that new person doesn't know. And when they come in, and then when they start, and when all this stuff starts happening, you are going to start building a community in your school where you take care of each other, where you show up for each other, where you have advice, you have a cup of coffee sometimes, you have a hug, a tissue, maybe a drink, I don't know, but you are helping people through that. The other thing is the stress is there because I think schools put too much on us and we put too much on ourselves. You really have to, and this is, look, I'm going to say something that, like, I'm not even at this season of my life, I'm not good at this at all, right? It's having a pain plan. It's knowing exactly what you're going to do when those feelings start showing up, when you go home and you feel like crap, when your weekend is getting ruined because you're just running through your head of what you should have done right, or you didn't do this, or oh my gosh, I'm never going to get this done. It's having a pain plan to help you recalibrate, right? It's like, maybe that is talking to a certain friend. Maybe that's talking to your therapist. Maybe that's getting therapy that you haven't had for a while. Maybe it's going to the gym, going for a run, going for a walk. Here's one: petting your dog. My therapist told me about this. I don't know if it was last year or the year before, but it came up and he was like, yeah, when you come home from work and you're stressed out, like just petting a pet is incredibly like anxiety reducing. He's like, there's all this chemical stuff's going on in your brain when that happens, and it relaxes you. So just thinking about things like that, like what are you going to do? And then I'm going to tell you what, because this is a whole conversation, but your morning routine's got to be on lock. Waking up and having to hurry is, I would rather go to bed early every night and have that time in the morning, because here's the deal. One, nothing good happens at night, right? What are you going to do? Watch Murders in the Building for 6 episodes in a row? And that sounds like a really great idea, and drink a box of wine. But if you wake up early in the morning, you're prepping. Now you're on offense. You're no longer on defense. And as an educator, you need to live on offense. That means you're waking up early, praying, meditating, journaling, doing whatever it is that helps you and this get into the right space. That's what you're focusing on in the morning. Then you're executing at school, and then you have your pain plan for after school, and that will start to recalibrate some of the things. And just know this, not all the work's ever going to get done. You cannot catch up. There's always unfinished business as an educator.
All right. John Box is up next, asking a random question, but do you think that the standard call and response to get student attention, like if you can hear me clap once, etc., are effective? Do you use these or something else?
I don't use these, but I think the thing is, Fox, if it works, it works. Sometimes things work because of teachers' personalities, because of how teachers do a certain thing in class. And that wouldn't work for me, because I would feel silly doing it. And I'll tell you this, John, the older I've gotten, I would rather feel silly than not have my class under control, right? And when I say class under control, I'm not talking about like I'm descending upon my subjects below me and like making everyone do what I need them to do. What I'm doing is I am helping to facilitate a class in which everybody that wants to listen can listen. Everyone that wants to learn can learn. Kids are being heard. Kids are being actively listened to. People are feeling safe to share their thoughts, feelings, and things of that nature. So that's you're creating this kind of like I don't know, harmonious existence, if you will. That to me is having my class under control. So if raising my hand and counting the 5 works, great. If you have to sing a song and the kids sing a song back, great, do it. I think that but for me, it has to feel authentic to me, but I do not so this is a little bit of a tricky answer, because I don't let authenticity anymore get in the way of success. I want success over all things. And that's everything in my life. I want success over being right. I want success over being tired. I want success over feeling dumb or silly or goofy or corny. I'll take all that. I'll do any of that stuff and take all those feelings if I can win. So if it works for you and it feels like, or if you do it and you're like, I can't just do this, then don't do it. But like, if it works, it works.
John Lopez said that he picked something up from one fab teacher that she says
She's
flat
fantastic.
Tire, and then the kids are supposed to respond with shh. Like, what sound does a flat tire make? Shh. Like, just I thought that was cute.
That's nice. If y'all aren't on to one fab teacher, she's fantastic, Miss May.
Yeah. All right. Dennis is up next, asking, I'm 38 and switched to teaching a year and a half ago. Was working in finance before. I'm having a hard time with stress with 4 kids at home and studying myself while teaching. Any ideas?
Wait. So studying at home.
I guess he's still like maybe like a
alternate route or something like that.
Like
okay. So it doesn't really matter, but I just wanted to make sure I was understanding. So Dennis, I would say, one, it is a jolt. I'll tell you what, right now, man, as I'm 46, left the classroom and doing this work full time. man, I had my rhythm down at school. I was so dialed in. Are you laughing at me on this?
I am.
I was so, because right?
This has been
So
hard.
dialed in to like I just had a rhythm, right? And like, and until things at my school got worse than I could, then like, and not just talking about students, I'm like, the things that were happening in and around my school were ridiculous. Until that happened, it was like, it reminded me of this. First year me, I'm going to get to your question in a second, but there's this great movie called House Party with Kid and Play from back in the 80s. And there's this great scene where Martin Lawrence is the DJ and people keep bumping his DJ table. And every time they bumped the DJ table, he would like get all mad and have to like stop and restart the record and get everything squared away and stuff. And that was me first year teaching. Was like, I would be completely thrown off. I would be just angry. Now I got to a place where I felt like someone could bump my DJ table and no one even knew. They thought that was a trick that I pulled, right? It was like nothing threw me off my game. And so, and look, I'm not great at everything. I don't want to paint that picture either. Cause like ask anyone that ever needed an email back from me, for instance, but, which is still the case, but, I think you get better at it, right? 1, 2, things that you already know in your life, right? That you've brought something from the finance world into this world of education as a 38-year-old. Draw on those. Like you know how to like at least in essence organize your time. Like some of those things that you did as a person in the business sector are going to fit in the educational sector, right? It's about trusting yourself, and it's about realigning some of that stuff. The other thing is it's just going to be hard for at least the first year. And here's why. Not because it's just hard, because you have to test stuff, right? So one of the places I got to several years ago was that I no longer wanted to come home to my kids and give my children less than I gave my students at home. I was no longer willing to give somebody else's kids more than my own kids. And I still struggle with this, right? Yesterday I'm out back to school shopping with my kids, and one of my students calls me, an old student calls me. And my initial reaction was to answer it. And even Brody goes, you're not going to answer Kev's call? And I was like, I go, bro, I'm out with you guys right now. Like, oh, no, it's fine. And I'm like, no, that's not what I want to do. I want to have those boundaries for me. I need to have those things. It's fine because daddy doesn't do it all the time anymore, but daddy used to do it all the time and just walk off and take a phone call. So and the way I was able to do that was I'm only where my feet are planted, right? So some of that stress is, for me, stress comes from not knowing there's too many things going on. I don't know the order of operations and I don't know how we're going to get this done. So I have to take it under control. I get up early in the morning so I have time for myself. Then I stop and I eat breakfast with my kids every single day. I draw my daughter, last year, son was homeschooled, daughter was in school. Drew my daughter a picture and a note that I hid in her lunchbox every single day that she would see at lunchtime. And then started doing it for some of her friends. And that was a bad decision because that takes up way too much of my time. Driving to school, taking time for myself, and only listening to stuff that's uplifting to me, right? Never listen. I'm not going to listen to like the news because that's only going to make me sad. And so get to school. And if I can feel like I have it to give to people, then I'm out and about and I'm doing stuff, shaking hands, talking to people, like, eating lunch with all my students and stuff like that, having fun. And that's what I'm doing. Class, complete rhythm, right? I know every Monday do the same thing. Every Tuesday do the same thing. Different lesson, different topic, same flow though. Every single week of every single month of the whole year, right? So get into this rhythm. Then I am making sure that I'm leaving at an appropriate time. I'm coming home, and when I come home, you can do work as a first year teacher, but don't be in there like I don't want to bring work home and I don't want to be half hanging with my kids and half doing grading. Sometimes I have my kids grade with me, right? If it's multiple choice, like Marley loved doing that stuff. She would write really motivational pictures on top of people's paper too. And the kids all thought that was hilarious when she was little. So it's then carving the time out that I need at night and that my family needs to do something, whether we're playing a game, whether we're watching a movie together, or we're just hanging out, whether we go for ice cream. I'm only there. I'm not talking about school. I'm not talking about anything else. I'm just asking my kids about themselves, and I'm being as present as possible, even if in my mind I am not present, right? Like, even if I have to like pretend that we're at your baseball game and I'm so happy, but I'm really just thinking, oh my gosh, I have this conference tomorrow and I have so much to do. My kids think I'm there 100% because I need to work. I need to exercise that muscle. And the last thing is really making sure that you're pouring into your spouse too, right? Like, my wife is realize that our relationship is third in my life, second only to God and to my relationship with myself. It is my wife over my kids. So I'm making sure that I'm pouring into my wife. So I make my wife coffee every morning. I write her a note every morning during the school year. If there's flowers in bloom in the backyard, I cut some flowers off, put them in a little vase or a glass, and put them next to her little note and stuff. And it's all set up so when she wakes up, it's ready. It's just finding that new rhythm. And once you start nailing down little bits of it at a time, you just get good at it, and you'll be all right. It's a lot though, man.
It is. I think it's building the rhythm, and it's like you start it and you think it's not working, but it's like you have to just keep doing it.
But nothing works the first time. You go to work out, you're not like, damn, I'm swole. Look at me. Right? Dennis, we do offer mentoring, and if you're not, which you can just find on our website, and if you're not in our Facebook group, that's a really great place to get connected with people as well. Is in the Facebook group. We're actually, I'll throw this out into the comment section. I have thought many times to do maybe a group mentoring, and this comes after we have done, anytime we do a workshop, there's a group of people that get to do like a Q&A afterwards. And it's just that hanging out, being together, hearing stuff from one another. One of my friends, Jill, was saying that her favorite part of doing those Q&A sessions isn't even the Q&A. It's hearing other people with the same problems and realizing that you're not the only one. Yeah. So if that's something that's interesting to you, just leave it in the chat and I'll see it. But yeah, because it would be a lower price point for everyone than to do like a one-on-one, because you're getting an hour, right? I imagine if we had, I don't know, a dozen people in a group mentoring thing, the price point would be much better, which is always what we're trying to do. Sorry, go ahead.
Tired working mom.
How do you feel? No,
I can relate. Asking, one thing I am trying to work on, creating a culture of learning and classroom discussion. It's been repeatedly mentioned in my observations, but I don't know how to do that. I don't know if there's a follow-up yet. Oh, no.
That's fine.
I don't think so. Go ahead.
No. All right. So, Mom, here's your answer. I think that it comes with learning how to connect with young people first, right? Let me take this back. If we want kids to share more in class, we have to teach them how to do that. We also have to become comfortable, help them to become comfortable with doing so. So if you think about, if you ever went to, let's say you went to Thanksgiving dinner at your family's house, and Thanksgiving dinner at my house is open up to a lot more people. Like, so my aunt always has it every year. It's open up to a lot more people than a typical, like, just family get together would be. And so there's aunts, uncles, cousins that show up, family, friends that I don't really know that well. And I don't really go and talk to them. I might just say, hi, how you doing? Oh my gosh, is that your little one? They got so big. But like, it's all small talk. I don't really know all the time how to engage with those people, right? At least when I was young. Right now I can talk to anybody, but it is, so kids gravitate, we all do, we gravitate towards the things we're most familiar with. So if I want kids to talk in class, then I have to talk to them on their turf first. That's maybe in the hallway, it's during lunch, it's on the front steps of the school, it's after school, going to where kids are, letting them see you as a human, asking them about what shows they're watching, what songs they're into, what hoodie they have on, what their new sneaks are about, what's this pin on your backpack, like asking kids about themselves. It just starts creating this familiarity Then when you're in class and you have a question, they know that you're not going to try and hit them over the head or scare them or make them look like a fool. You are now a trusted individual. So you've built that trust, and it doesn't take that long, honestly. Like, because, and here's why. Most kids are not used to being talked to by adults like they actually like know something, like they matter, like they have something to contribute. Most kids are talked to like kids, or they're told speak when spoken to, and then they're never spoken to. And so we want to build that familiarity. Then when you're asking these things in class, it's telling kids what you want to hear back, right? Encouraging kids to ask questions. So one of the things, and look, there's a right way and a wrong way to do this, but this might be something you want to try. I have a box in my class. On the front of it, I put a little sign that says book of questions or box of questions. Kids can submit any question that they want. They get a Post-it note, a piece of paper, the back of a worksheet, right? Any question in there. They put it in, and when we have a little bit of extra time at the end of class sometimes, so typically this was on Fridays after a vocab assessment, I would open the box up, take a question out, and answer it, right? Now, here's the right and wrong way. There are teachers that do this, and kids will ask wildly inappropriate questions, and then they feel like they have to answer it. And that's not true. Don't answer it. Just no one even knows what question you even just took out. Just make up a question if you don't like that one. Yeah, like, is water wet? And then it'd be, oh, actually, it is not, and here's why. But like, it's you're starting to build this rhythm of intrigue, of kids that want to learn. You're talking about learning all the time. You're talking about something that you learned. You're asking kids like, yo, can I just ask you, like, what's like the craziest thing that you ever saw on your way to school before? And so one of the things that we do in my class, is the last thing I'll say, is journal entries every day, 5 days a week. 5 days a week, every day, the whole year long. 3 to 8 sentences. They're very short. And it's tell about the dirtiest that you've ever been. Talk about the craziest thing you ever saw on the way to school. Tell about who's a hero in your life and why. And you just ask kids all kinds of questions about themselves. And so what you're doing there is you are prepping kids to ask questions, to answer questions, to be ready for questions, that it's not so weird when you ask them something, because you're doing it all the time. You're letting kids know that their story's important, their viewpoint's important, that they're important. And when you start creating that level of culture and community in your classroom, asking kids about the stuff you're learning just becomes so much more easy because they are used to it.
Sorry. I feel like there's a long
delay.
Right.
We can hardly see anyway.
I
like half face.
I need to really try and
have good posture. Tall. Here we are today.
Okay. Rachel is asking, it's a two-parter. I'm a first-year middle school math teacher. Every Wednesday, our classes are only 22 minutes long. Right. I have a Wacky Wednesday, and we have a math game instead of learning. I let students earn a
Lopez
snack if they did great the previous week, but the teacher next to me says snack in class, says I should not allow them to have a snack because they will eat it in other teachers' rooms because of me. He seemed mad, wondering if I should cancel it.
No, it's because, look, we all want children to be intrinsically motivated. And the fact of the matter is, we're not all intrinsically motivated all the time either, right? Like, most of what we do is because of what we'll get from it. Like, I go to the gym because I want my wife to go, ooh, right? There's I want to be a good dad, right? But I also, some of it is selfish because I want to have good relationships with my kids too, right? Like, there are things that it's just the way that it is. So having, I love my job, but I wouldn't do it if I didn't get paid, right? Like, I would, unless I was independently wealthy, I would still do the work that I'm doing, but I have to get paid. Otherwise my kids can't eat. So I think it's fine, but you have to tell the students, I get that point. It makes all the sense in the world because kids are slobs sometimes and they leave their trash and they eat like their Cookie Monster and there's stuff all over the place and stuff like that. and then you have to deal with it, and the other teacher has to deal with it. So I would say kids can win a prize, but you cannot eat it in other teachers' classes, right? You have to eat it in here, and you cannot make a mess. Even if you're Cookie Monster, you better have a friend that's a Bert that is going to, that's 2 Sesame Street references in case you were wondering. That's going to come over, help you clean it up, remind you to clean it up, help you pick up your trash, whatever it is. You want to have someone that's there. But the things that we do in here happen in here. The stuff that I give you happens in here. And so I think that it's talking to kids about, look, it's because talking to them about why that is, talking to them about being responsible in other people's classes and things like that. Like, but it's just being smart. It's talking to them about the why. It's explaining what's going on and telling them that they have to eat it here or in lunch. But if you hear that anybody else, that kids are eating snacks in other people's classes and they know it's from here, they know it's from our class, then it's a wrap and we can't do this anymore. And I think that's fine. The other thing that you could do is give those kids, like, tell them to come in after school. All right, y'all get that one snacks, come in after school. I'm going to give snacks so you can take them on your way home from school, and just let them stop in then. And then, you know what? Here's the beauty of that. Half the kids are going to freaking forget anyway. And so, you don't have to, save money. But that's what I would do. And then then you have to tell them to just throw it out correctly and not leave it on the street.
I don't believe it. I don't think kids are going to forget their snacks.
And maybe
they forget pencils, pens, papers, all kinds of things, but they're not forgetting snacks.
All right, you're probably right. But the beauty of that too is like, then you're hanging out with kids after school. Yeah, like, it's like, absolutely. Yo, how was your day? Right? Like, what's going on? What are y'all doing tonight? Like, what are you playing football? Like, whatever it is, you can like chop it up with kids after school.
Always building relationships.
Always.
All right, Ashley is up next asking, I have so many talkers in some of my classes. They want to participate, but they don't know when to stop talking. They basically have a running commentary out loud. Advice?
I made a video about this just the other week that I got like a remarkable amount of crap from, and it's I forget what I called it, but it's like a thumbnail of a bunch of kids with megaphones, like all pointing at me. So I think that's a good place to start. The other thing is, I think, gosh, I'm trying not to overlap from that video too much, but I'm probably going to unknowingly, because I don't even remember. Here's the thing. I make videos. I don't even remember what I said in them now. Like, I have no idea what I said in that video, because I just talk about this so much that I just can't. So it's one, figuring out where your biggest problem points lie. Like, who are the kids that are talking all the time, right? So sometimes it's giving them the assignment, it's stepping back, and it's making notations. So really get real, because I think teachers often we think everyone's talking, right? We think it's just like, you think everyone's looking at you, everyone's watching all the time, everyone sees that you forgot to brush the back of your hair or whatever. And 9 times out of 10, no one even cares. No one's watching. So it's seeing what kids are actually doing the talking, and then what kids weren't doing the talking but got pulled into the talking because that kid was there. The next thing is, I think, timing things in class. Putting a timer up on your board, not to worry kids, but to just give them a realistic depiction of how much time is left for this particular activity. And when this is done, when the bell rings, if I notice that you were talking, you do not get extra time for this. If you were studying hard, if you're trying and you just need a little bit more time for whatever reason, that's fine, but that's different. It is maybe moving kids, right? And when I move kids, I never, ever, ever move a student because they are bad, right? Because I tell them, like, no, you know what? You can't handle sitting there, so we're going to have to move you somewhere else. I move students because I tell them, look, you're not finding success here. And we can see this in the work. We can see this in the grades. I want to move you somewhere where you're going to have a better chance of finding success. And so if you can find success there, then maybe we can talk about moving you back later. But it's not that you're bad. It's just that my goal, my everything is to have you be successful in school. And so helping kids to see where's the best place that they're going to be successful. The other thing is reminding kids, especially if they're talking while you're giving directions, how long you need to give directions, and just make this up. Just spitball it, right? I think that's the right thing. And that's a really disgusting term, but you could say like, all right, listen, y'all, so first of all, I need your attention. 5, 4, 3, 2. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. I need your attention for 30 seconds. Can you give me, let me see, I hear you say, yeah, if you can give me 30 seconds. Yeah. All right, cool. That's it. Then at 30 seconds, I'm done. Give them directions. Keep it short and sweet. Some teachers talk for too long, right? So you are counting down. I have everyone's attention. I'm telling them I only need 30 seconds. Someone starts talking. Roger, yo, right here, man. Can I get 10 more seconds? 10 more seconds. Can you just keep your eyes on me? Actually, don't even blink. I want you to just look at me without blinking right now. Thank you very much, Roger. And then you give them the rest of the directions. You tell them that they have 5, 10, 15 minutes it is to work on this. Then reminding kids in 5-minute intervals how much time they have left. Yo, listen, I'm not trying to worry. I'm just saying that you have 10 minutes left. If anyone needs my help, let me come over and give you a hand. Let me help you work through this. And then that's how we are moving class along, and we're making things important, but we're also giving kids an out. They know that they don't have forever to do this. They know that they have a very specific amount of time to get any particular activity done, or listen to me for any particular amount of time to get things done. And you know what? Don't be afraid to call home too. Calling home, but not to tell, or actually don't call, email, because then you have documentation. Emailing home and saying, hey, this is a behavior that I'm seeing. Like, Tony is very talkative in class, and I'm just curious if this has happened before. How do you at home, or how do teachers find success with this? I really want to find a way that he's being super successful and doing great work this year. And so any insight you can give me on that would be really wonderful. And then just see what you get back from that too.
All right. Summer is up next, asking, my school has a huge lack of spirit. The kids just don't seem to care, or rather it's not cool to care. I'm a big pump 'em up teacher, but the buy-in is not there. Any ideas on how to better reach high school students, mostly persons of color, who don't seem to think having spirit has any value? I can't fix it all, but I want to help drive a culture of positive support for all activities I can.
So isn't it so interesting, Summer, that some schools have such high school spirit and they can do a thing like Spirit Week, and other schools don't? I can tell you from my experience that look, first of all, everybody's too cool for school, right? There's a reason that is a term, right? Being too cool for school is you get to an age where you don't want to be at the pep rally. You don't want to cheer things on. You don't want to get dressed up this week and have crazy hair day. And it's oh, really? That's sounds like it requires a whole lot more effort to me. So, sorry, there's a gnat in here. It's one bug and it's driving me crazy. I think the way I've seen that change in my school, right? There have been times of really strong school spirit and really low school spirit. Low school spirit comes from leadership and teachers that are not the pump it up people like you're saying that you are. And if they are, it seems so fake. It's just you're not this excited. You just don't live life like this. You are not walking around doing this stuff. But when my friends and I that I work with, and I'm not saying colleagues, right? My friends that I worked with, when we had years when, man, we loved each other. We worked together. We hung out outside of school, and it'd be me and my wife and my kids and Cho and Yank and our dogs. And we'd be after school, we'd take the hour-long drive down the Jersey Shore, and we're eating pizza on a picnic blanket and drinking wine on a Friday night. We're meeting in between classes, or in between classes in the hallway is just playtime. It's we all are getting along. We're all making each other laugh. We're all telling each other stories. You have to cut your conversation off so you can get into your classroom and start, because you just love seeing everyone every day. That the beginning of school coming back is you just You just love it. You just have found your people. And that doesn't mean, Summer, that I get along with everyone. In any given year, I didn't get along with any number of people that I worked with. Either because they weren't fun, or I didn't think that they were nice, or I didn't like the way that they were with kids, or they just weren't interested in talking to me because I'm a lot sometimes for people to handle. It's like but you find your core people that you're going to do that with, and this is how we're going to do this. And then the kids see that. It's also about finding things that kids are going to get excited about. So when we started doing stuff like, we found that like school spirit amongst your grade, like no one really cared about, right? So we would have like these pep rallies and do something fun, but like no one cared. But when we started doing great trips, that was like oh snap, like that was something that made you want to come to school. And we started having speakers come in, not just the classes, but optional ones at the end of the day. So like I would have like a street artist come in at the end of the day, and kids could come into my class after that. I would have like my friend Flanders, who taught Latin, would have a guy who was like, this is some straight nerd stuff. He was like an expert in like Roman armor and stuff like that, and so knew all the Latin terms for it. Kids would come in, they get to put on like armor and stuff like that, see how much a sword weighed. Like it was wild. It was fascinating, right? You start building in things that kids want to be a part of, and then when kids really start feeling cared for and like they're important, then that's part of it. The other thing I'll say is this: you have to, it's building a culture of kids that understand why this is important. Why is school spirit important, right? Having a strong culture, right? Having a strong culture, it just helps you in everything you do. If you run a business, you want to have people with strong culture. You want to have people that get along. You want to have people that, like, I would rather have a teacher at my school when I'm hiring someone that is excited about the job, that loves what they do, that is there for kids, than someone who's really, really smart and doesn't have that. I'm not interested in just the fact that you went to a really good school, that you graduated with your doctorate from UPenn in whatever. I would rather have someone that is stoked to do the work, because that's going to help create culture. It starts with leadership. It starts with teachers, and then it goes to students, but the students have to understand the reasoning behind why things like culture in school is so important. And that's a whole nother conversation, but that's where I would start. So I hear what you're saying, but Summer, here's quick advice. Find your people in your school. Find your crew that you get down with, that you do this kind of stuff, and then start doing it out loud as much as possible. I found a picture today of Cho. When one time Cho got stickers and was putting them on kids' faces before they left school, and they loved it. And I was like, that was like one of the best times at our school, because I was down the school. There's two videos that were taken at the same time. I was playing a recorder that I got from Five Below down the hallway. Hasty was doing something else weird, and Cho was putting stickers on kids' faces when they were leaving. Oh, Hasty had my megaphone and was doing the thing where I tell everyone, here comes a teacher down the hallway. Oh, everyone, here comes Miss Gilroy. Everybody give them a round of applause. And so then everyone would give them a round of applause, and it was incredible.
I love it. I love hearing about teachers having fun in school.
Yeah, it's contagious. But you have to I have fun for me too. It's not just for kids. Like, I think I do stuff because it cracks me up.
Oh, I know. See, you operate like that at home too.
I do.
Which
is why there's a mannequin in our room right now with a leprechaun hat on.
Okay. Rebecca is up next asking, how do you handle comparison between classes? I am one of two fifth grade teachers. First time this class has been split. I allow things the other teacher doesn't. The other teacher doesn't do. The kids talk and compare.
Whoo, man. I hear you. So there's a lot of times that I used to be the only ninth grade literature teacher. Then it got split, and because they started giving me, I've talked about this in 100 videos. Like I found that I really loved teaching all the kids and no one else wanted to teach. because one, everyone leaves you alone. Two, they'll give you more money to do stuff because they just know that they're like, gosh, do anything with these kids. It's like, all right, we need to take a class trip to an escape room. And they're like, you're taking 30 kids out of school for the day? Go for it. So it was like, and no one expected anything from you. It was win, 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 win for me. That being said, there were often times that there would be comparison between myself and other teachers. And those other teachers were great. We just did stuff different. And I like having fun. And so I think that it's one, I never, unless there's a real issue, I don't let kids talk about other teachers in my class. I just don't let it happen. I want kids to have a voice. I want them to voice their opinions, their thoughts, their feelings. But I will, and that's fine. I can facilitate that conversation to some degree, but it cannot go down a rabbit hole. And I'm not going to allow you to just badmouth people. It's kids have to understand that like not every class is going to be the same, and like that teacher's wonderful. I would start telling kids wonderful things. So like I'm trying to think of like a scenario. It doesn't really even matter because it's not like anyone's going to know their name. But so I'm teaching and kids don't like a certain teacher, or they think their class isn't as fun as mine, or they never do cool stuff, or they don't have a sense of humor like me or whatever. But I go, oh, but did you know this about like they're actually awesome. Like y'all don't even know. You're not even giving them a chance to be awesome out loud yet. Why don't you ask them about the time that they lived in Zimbabwe for a year, right? And like nobody lives in Zimbabwe. It's a very difficult country to be a part of, right? So like, and I don't mean that in some hasty way. I just know that when we were living in Africa at that time, we weren't even allowed to go into Zimbabwe. So that's where that seemingly random example came from. So it's like asking, like, did you know that they were like an award-winning fencer in school, right? Like so sword fighting. It's trying to find those things that you can love on that person, right? You can shine the spotlight on them, and then maybe it's trying to find ways that you can collaborate on things, right? So is there something y'all can come together with, and ultimately, look, let's just say that, Rebecca, that person's not fun. Let's say that they don't do stuff like you do, because I've had situations too where there's been other teachers that have like kind of quietly quit, where they just don't do the work anymore. They're not interested in it. They just don't have that level of like they're not bringing the work, but you bring the work. That's on them, right? But I still don't that because they are choosing not to come to school on 10 every day, and they're coming into school on a 6. I can only say so much stuff that's going to try and help you out. But at that point, I just tell kids, all right, we're not talking about that. All y'all are trying to do right now is like take away. I'm trying to be awesome, and you're trying to bring our conversation down. We're not even trying to do that right now. Like let's make the most of this. We only have so much time to be awesome today, so let's do it. And it's that shutting that conversation down, because I know where it's going. I know we've already talked about it. I'm not going to sit here and unpack it with you all day. And that teacher knows what's going on in their classroom. So it's like, just keep being awesome, and let me just say this, just in case you're thinking about it. Don't be any less awesome because other people aren't. Be you out loud, full force all the time, right? Like it is being great despite what anybody else chooses to do in your school or is capable of doing, right? But it's because we're there for kids. So don't give the kids less of an experience because someone else is having a hard time. It's better to try and help them raise up and do better.
I want to say it's not like, what if that teacher is just like, we're very different, you and I, right? Like you're super fun and joyful and like funny all the time. I'm like super business and like task oriented. And it's sometimes it's just explaining to kids that we're just different, like, and that's okay too.
It doesn't mean they're getting a less of an educational experience, right? That someone is less loving, that less caring.
Kids have to learn how to handle all people in the world, because not everybody's going to cater to you and to what you like and your specific things, or not everybody's going to be a perfect match for each other. Like you have to learn how to do that. And that's part of teaching kids those soft skills, I think, through school that they can learn. Yeah. Because,
Yeah, one more?
Yeah.
Hit it.
This fun one. Carl's up next saying, I just jumped on the YouTube video bandwagon. How do you deal with negative comments?
So I'll tell you this, Carl. I used to answer all of them. And I would give, so if someone said, so I'll tell you this, like my bathroom video, right? I have a video where I'm holding a magic 8-ball out, and it's like, what do you do with kids that want to go to the bathroom all the time? And if you don't watch the whole video, you're lost in the, like, people are commenting halfway through. My basic answer to if kids have to go to the bathroom is let them go to the bathroom, right? Like, it is a human right. And I don't know what's going on, especially if you're a teenage girl. Never, ever, ever say no. Let kids go to the bathroom. Now, what I was addressing in the video was folks that, like, kids that try to get out of class all the time, and they're not going to the bathroom. You know that they're just running around the hallways, going to other people's classes, staying in the bathroom for 30 minutes. And they're just standing in there. And how do I know? Because sometimes I get someone to watch my class, I go down to the bathroom, I find them in there sitting on a sink. I once found a kid sitting on a urinal, which is disgusting, but that was a whole nother conversation. But so it was trying to help kids it was trying to help teachers navigate that question that every single kid, that one kid, so name's always Aaron, has to go to the bathroom like 75 times a day and whatever. But if people don't watch the whole thing, then I would get negative comments. So I used to answer them back. And I'll tell you this, dude, Carl, no one ever, I don't know if they ever saw them. I don't know if they certainly never answered them back. Right. So
very few.
But they do aggravate me. So the other day on my moving one, here's my new strategy. I made this video about moving. I have a part in the video, which I'm going to tell you why I said it, because everyone understands. In the video, I have this part about 3 or 4 minutes in where I say, and I know that because this person timestamped it. They said, I said, part of my reason for moving from the city to a small town is my kids are exposed to a lot of things in the city that I'd rather them not be exposed to. And the comment was like 358. And I don't want to even put any emphasis on it but I'm just saying how they said it. Something to the effect of, I thought you were open-minded and now I see that you're not. Like, and then they were like finished with me or something like that. What they don't know, because I don't know what they're filling the blank in with, is that a few weeks ago, we had company over. My son comes inside and tells me, Dad, just like this, Dad, there's a man that I think is unconscious across the street under a tree. So I go across the street and there's a guy that had overdosed across the street from my house. This is not the first time my kids have seen this. It's not the first time that they've seen someone have sex at the playground. It's been more than one time that they've seen the police chase someone, that someone is homeless and clearly coming down off of drugs that need something, someone that has no pants on walking down the street, like, right?
That kind of stuff.
Right? Like... So I don't know what they were filling in the blank with, but it's some of those things that it's like, I don't need my kids exposed to the level at which they are getting exposed to the stuff that I have no control over. That being said, what I do now, Carl, is I delete comments. And this was...
I just want to say also, I want to interject and say, we delete comments though, because people that leave those sort of comments, they are filling, like you said, they're filling in their own narrative and their own opinion or thought, but based off of incomplete information. So my advice to you is ignore them. Yeah. I mean, first of all, I would look at them and go, okay, is there any truth or validity in that? Yes. Like, and to be fair, we got a nasty comment about me last week on our YouTube video and I deleted it. Why? But because I just don't need it on there because what the person shared was irrelevant. And
well, let's talk about that real quick. But
I sat with it and thought about it before.
Because sometimes your haters are your educators, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And so we had a really good conversation after the fact of like, is there something we can take away from this, right? And sometimes, whether I like it or not, sometimes nasty comments are like, all right, actually, I need to be mindful of that. So squirting kids with water pistols is another thing that comes up on the channel all the time. But folks don't know what my relationship is with students. So it's like, yeah, you should.
They just don't have all the context, and you're never going to be able to give enough context when you.
I erase them, and because one of my best mentors told me that people are not, and I don't mean to compare people to dogs here, but this is the example that I was given. Folks don't question when dogs howl at the moon, but if the moon howls back, everybody pays attention. And so I never let people get my goat. I never answer quickly. And you know what? I'll tell you what, with regards, and this is the last thing I'll say about that, but like with regards to that video about moving, I got so many, I must have got 50 comments immediately. All love, like just love and love and love and love and love and love and love.
That's all we got. There was one.
I did not, because I was the end of the night. I posted at 8:00. I was watching TV with my wife. I didn't answer any of those back because I was where my feet were. But that comment comes up, and I was like, "Oh, I'm answering this." Like I like went into like fighting mode like right away, and she goes, "You didn't answer one comment back where someone said
all kinds of love." I go, "You didn't answer any of them."
Are so right now that
I was right. You hear it, everybody? I was right.
I'm like, you were so right that I
delete.
Yeah, I need to just delete it because I'm down. If someone had asked a question, was inquisitive about why I would say that or what I meant, I'm down for the conversation all the time. But
me too.
Yeah. Anyway, that was a really long answer for a question that I don't.
Clearly can see it's a thing. You know, if you get a negative comment, it's a thing. Okay, so let's answer this person's question because they gave us a super chat and we appreciate it and thank you so much.
Anytime you give a super chat, it bumps you right to the top of the list.
All right, if you could restart your careers, would you still go into teaching? Social media is incredibly toxic about the field. I notice it's mainly in red states.
I would, and here's why, Kay, because I do what I'm called to do, and I'm proud to say that, right? Like and whether or not you are particularly a person of faith or not, right? There are things in your life that you just know you're good at. You just know that it's in your bag, that you feel a certain, like when you're doing it. So one of my things is connecting with young people. It's happened my whole life. It happened the other day. I was at the gym. I was waiting in line to go up to the desk so I could cancel my gym membership, tell them we're moving. And this little kid just comes out of nowhere. He's probably like 2 and literally pulls on my pants like I was in the movie and just starts talking to me. And his mom was like, "Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry." Well, he did it like 4 more times. This happens to me all the time. It is an undeniable connection with young people that for whatever reason, I come off as someone that's safe, that's going to talk to you and meet you where you are. It has happened my entire life, right? And I think it's a gift. It's owning your giftedness, but really being seeing it. So if my giftedness is connection with young people, is helping young people, then to me, education was always it was like, well, this is where it sounds weird. How do I gain access to kids? Which is a weird thing to say out loud, right? I completely understand. It can be taken the wrong way. But it was, well, if I become a teacher, because I really love reading also, I love literature, I love learning. These things go together. So like, that's why I became a teacher. So I wasn't going to get that same amount of the same kind of connection by being a social worker or working for a nonprofit or something like that, or just running an after school program or something like that. It was going to be teaching. And the longer I taught, the more I saw that that's what it was to do. And so, yes, I would go into it because that is the work I've been given to do. And I have work jobs that I haven't felt that way about. I have tons of friends that do not have jobs that light them up. That if you go, "What have you been up to?" "Oh man, my conversation always goes to teaching because that is what I'm the most excited about." And so that excitement has never gone away. It's because I've gotten aggravated because of the way things are run in education. And I can even understand where some of those people are coming from when they get so aggravated about education, especially like, look, I know that I am privileged in where I live because if my school's terrible, I can go to another school. But if you live in, somewhere in the middle of Texas, and there's not another school that you can just go to, or it means a 2.5 hour commute to get there, I get it. But for me, I do the work I've been given to do. And even this work we're doing now is like what I've been given to do. And so that's what we're into. So yeah, I would still do it. What I do is not dictated by what other people feel. And let me tell you this, there's something called the principle of exception. And I love this. The principle of exception says that just because it happens to other people does not mean it's going to happen to me. And I cannot tell you how many times that has shown up in my life where like everyone's like, oh, this next school year, these kids are the worst. And it's like, we'll see. Because that sometimes is a flip. Sometimes I've had kids that were like, aren't they awesome? I love this class. And I'm like, dude, these kids are making my hair fall out now. They already made it go white. Now it's falling out. Like, principle of exception. Cool.
That's
we
it.
good?
Yeah, we're 10
Gang.
minutes over.
Thank you so much for being here. I hope that you have a great day. If you're in the US, I hope you have a great day off tomorrow. And yeah, and if you need anything else, please go to the Facebook group. We're actually giving away books. My book, Drink Up, Chris Carson. I take off my Post-it notes. Teacher class off. I'm giving away multiple copies of my book in the Facebook group. If you go to my post that says like, I'm asking for like, what's one of the
a teaching failure
that you had in your class. If you share that, it doesn't have to go super into detail. Just share it in the group under my post. Tomorrow morning, I'm going to pick folks who's going to get books. So that's it. Cool.
Yeah.
All right, gang. We will see you next week. Thank you so much for being here. Peace.